Our next story is a lot about community, and I'm very excited to introduce this next person. Makes me happy every time I see him, my friend, Navy veteran, Javier Chen.
Appreciate it. Hey everybody, my name is Javier. I'm just gonna start us off with the next slide, which is a quote from the late Coretta Scott King, wife to the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It's a great segue because Vicky left off with that community aspect, and the quote from her when she first established the National Martin Luther King Jr. Center to support community. Her quote was, she said, "The greatest of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members." So in this room today, I saw so many hands of veterans or people that's military affiliated come together, and this is great because we see like so many people from different walks of the country. I hope that we're not from the Bay Area, right? Raise your hands if you're a transplant here. That's what I thought. Look, that's like 80% of us, right? So, look, so this is our community. This is something that, in the veteran community that we really value, that we have our brothers and sisters. We share a community with our brothers and sisters, our former service members. And I guess my story is I grew up in a little bit more homogenous community. It was mostly Asian Hispanic immigrants in LA where I came from. But I joined the military not just for the GI Bill, but I wanted to seek adventure, right? I wanted to seek that next level of community in my life. And I didn't know what that was gonna look like, but what I did see in myself is I first saw people that looked like me. I first saw military service members that looked like me, the recruiters in our recruiting region that looked like me, right? It's really interesting how the military recruits. If you guys ever go deep into it, like they put for enlisted like recruiting, they put recruiters that actually look like you from those communities. So I had like Asian and Hispanic American recruiters in my hometown recruiting us out of our low-income district high schools. So I think that was an interesting strategy because I look back to it, I'm just like, wow, like, man, that's like subconsciously I thought, wow, like I can see myself in this person, right? Like, so tying back to community, it's like, okay, well, how can you as a veteran that's recently transitioning or military folk that's transitioning out or a veteran that's still transitioning into the Bay Area? I see 80% of y'all raise your hands. So that's like you're transitioning here. You're still transitioning. How can we find this community? How can we feel like we belong together in this community? So the first community that I ever felt like I belonged in was in the Navy. When I was in the Navy, I was a firefighter in the Navy. USS Halsey, this is back in 2010. Oh my God, 8 years. Do I still look the same? Do I still look the same, kind of, a little bit? Yeah. So yeah, this was my immediate community that I had on the ship. We look pretty diverse, but I gotta admit, we are lacking gender diversity here, right? Like there is no female firefighters on this ship right now. There may have been some Navy sailor veterans that have served on a ship that's a co-ed ship and that had female engineers, but we didn't have that here. We didn't have that, and I would do anything for these guys if I were still on the ship with them. They were my shipmates, but I found my first sense of community and belonging here. And then from there, I transitioned out of the Navy back in 2013. I just served 5 years active duty, and I was so grateful just to like meet so many different people from all over the world. Visiting different countries and just learning their way of life. I think it is so important that if you were in the military, for veterans, they had that experience of just seeing different parts of the world, traveling, and just learning from people and just taking that in, hopefully as humbly as they could. And when I transitioned out, I didn't have this community anymore. Luckily, I stayed in San Diego. And being in San Diego, if you are ever stationed in San Diego or heard about San Diego, San Diego has it's a big military county. There's a lot of active duty service members as well as veterans and military affiliated people out there. So there's a lot of resources, and I just felt very lucky at the time because at my community college that I attended, there was a student veteran center, there was a student veteran community for me, right? And I was able to like utilize the resources and their guidance to get to my next phase. I don't have a picture of community college, but I have a picture of my veteran community at Berkeley. You know, this is us at UC Berkeley on our graduation. I like fast forward a little bit, but little context behind here. This is right in front of the Memorial Stadium. If you look at that, it says World War I. This is World War I. The Memorial Stadium at UC Berkeley is the stadium that memorializes World War I, World War II veterans. So we took pictures at the California Memorial Stadium because it was very meaningful for us, because there were service members before our time that gone and have passed, and they were not able to get that education because they served in World War I and World War II, but we were able to get here and graduate. So like that is my community, and we were honoring them when, you know, upon graduation, right? And this is my community at Cal, and just like going back to that theme and topic, I really think that since we're here in this room right now, just make sure everybody gets to know each other, because without community, you won't survive by yourself. You will struggle. It is a struggle. In the military, same thing. As a student veteran, same thing. As a professional working in tech, same thing. If you want to transition into tech, you have to get to know your community, and you have to be able to know how you identify. You can identify as a woman, as a person of color, as a veteran, whatever. You have to understand what your identity is. And this is how I identify with my community. And that's them again. So, you know, I see like maybe like 50% of us in here are vets, and the other half is, you know, it's civilians or people that are affiliated, hopefully, or allies with the military community and veteran community. I just want to like leave people with, like I said, I didn't get here unless I had them, right? I was like it was not just the veteran community, to be honest. It's actually the UC Berkeley community that I was part of. I took advantage of the resources that my academic institution offered me. And sometimes it just takes that initiative to go one step further than sometimes your immediate community. Because your immediate community is always going to be there, and they can always give you guidance and get your back. But sometimes you have to go and do that outreach. And it might not be specifically the veteran community, but I went to the Career Center. I asked for help. I went to the Career Center events. If you're a student veteran right now, or you plan on going back to college, if you're pursuing your undergraduate or graduate degree, just make sure you utilize all the resources at your disposal, right? Community is a big part, but remember how many communities you identify, because we're veterans and we identify with multiple communities. Okay, and I guess that was the last slide. But yeah, I mean, just back to me and just hearing Vicky's story, like everybody has a little different path, but what you want, but you have to know, like, what do you want for yourself? What do you want to get out of this experience being here? For example, in the Bay Area, what is your purpose? You have to find a purpose. For me, my purpose was and is still giving back to the community. Luckily, I was able to transition in a role that somebody, a civilian, not a veteran, a civilian, saw the value in me, and she gave me an opportunity to work at Pandora. But I wasn't able to meet that civilian and that person that gave me an opportunity without taking that initiative, having those conversations, and like learning more about that field and that role. I don't have her picture. I wish I had her picture. I wish I added it in so you can see who she actually is. But I'm just gonna call her out on live. Lisa Lee, if you're there, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. For those that don't know, who don't know, Lisa Lee is the head of diversity and inclusion at Squarespace in New York City. She has been just a great mentor to me and given me this opportunity that led me to have this privilege to be where I am today. So let's tying this all up. I'm a little bit nervous, but tying this all up. Just all everybody that's in the room. Just remember, veterans is your immediate community if you're a veteran or affiliated with the veteran community. And for the allies in this room, I just really hope that, like Vicky said, just give a veteran an opportunity to learn about what you do in your career, to give guidance, mentorship, advice, or just play a little bit role as their ally. We're really just asking for an opportunity to learn about us and to see, even if we don't fit in your immediate team or department or company, like I hope that you just give veterans an opportunity. And I am a living proof. Vicky's a living proof. I have the opportunity. I work in a pretty fast-growing tech company right now. I can be a gatekeeper in my role to opportunity too. And I'm always considering the people that helped me and that identify with the community that I am in so that I can give back to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Javier. Another round of applause for Javier. Thank you for sharing your story with us.